regards to my father's heart transplant and the effect it has had on my family. I graduated college about 2 years ago, and with all that free time, I've been doing a lot of yoga, and yoga has taught me two things. It's to be very, very reflective and to have a lot of gratitude. So my dad had his heart transplant May of 2018, so in this past year, I've had tons of gratitude, and I've been very reflective. Right now, at this moment, I'm very, very reflective because I'm a Katy High School graduate of 2013, and my senior year of high school, I was here at Miller in the Pharmacy Tech program. So this morning when I came here, I felt flooded with emotions. I remember being in the Pharmacy Tech classroom over there, just wondering, is my dad going to see me graduate high school? Is he going to see my brother graduate high school? I even remember writing a letter to Mrs. Nelson, the AP Lit teacher, saying like, oh, I usually hate English, but I really enjoyed your class this year, and it was great because I went through a really tough senior year of almost losing my father. So when he had his cardiac arrest, it was January of 2013. I remember my mom, she was downstairs with my dad, and she just started screaming for me and my brother, and I ran downstairs, and I kind of went, I want to say like robotic mode, because I knew that I had to do the CPR that I learned in my health science program, while my mom was just freaking out. So I started CPR on my dad until the EMT got there. And he basically had a pacemaker installed, and 5 months later after that is when I graduated high school. So he got to see me graduate high school. And then in August 2017, he saw me graduate college, which was a really great feeling because I remember right before I walked up stage, I turned around and I saw my dad crying because he didn't think he would make it to this moment. And because of the advances in the medical field and because of his pacemaker saving his life, he got to see me graduate. And it seemed like after that moment, I was like, well, is my dad going to see me get married? Is he going to be able to walk me down the aisle? Because I remember going to friends' weddings, family members, and I got a little choked up when I would see the father walking the daughter down the aisle because I didn't think my dad was going to be there. I remember telling some of my friends that I felt like my dad almost had like terminal cancer because I didn't think he had any hope. I've heard of transplants and I was aware of them, but I thought that he would have another cardiac arrest and pass away before he could get on the list. So everything changed April 2018 when my dad called me and my brother and said, I have to talk to you guys. I need you to come up to the hospital. That's when he was admitted to the hospital on the 22nd, and it was around the 25th, I want to say, is when he called us to come up, and he set us down, and that's when I knew something was different. It wasn't another cardioversion or another ablation or a tweak of the medications, because it seemed like that's what it was all these past years. Like, oh, my dad's just in the hospital, getting another cardioversion, getting another ablation. It just seemed normal to me. So when he set us down and he told me, I'm going to be in the hospital until I get a new heart, I remember breaking down crying because I didn't know his chances of getting a new heart, and I was really scared that he would die in the hospital waiting for one. And I show you guys all these photos with a timeline just to kind of show what I went through and the emotions around that. So I have some pictures here before the call, and in the transplant community they call it the call because that's when your transplant team will call you and say, oh, we have an organ offer. And so here's a photo on May 7th with him and my family and my boyfriend, and then on the 14th, and that's with his intra-aortic balloon pump, which helped his heart beat. There was one point where he was laying in bed, not even moving, and his heart shot up to, I think it was like 140, 150, some crazy number. So he was really, really weak. He was on 1A status, which at the time meant that he was top of the list. He also called it Lucy because it was, he said, always attached to him. So he'd always joke with the nurses and say, oh, this is Lucy. And then I have a picture of his room, because we didn't know how long he was going to be there. Some people wait months. Thankfully, he was in the hospital for about a month and waited about 20-something days. But during that time, I decorated his room with heart decorations, a streamer that says best dad ever, and a photo of my family. So May 21st is when he got the call, and I remember that morning because I had to go into work early that day, I think like 5 a.m. So I was up at, I want to say 3:10 is when he called, and I remember him saying, sweetheart, today's the day, they have a heart for me. And he was crying, and I just started crying, and all these emotions flooded me because I was excited, scared, and I also kept thinking about the donor family. I realized that there was someone out there that was right now losing someone as we were having, this hopeful moment. So I have a photo right here, right before the transplant. That's when the transplant team and all the nurses came to get him to take him to surgery. And I actually videotaped that moment. because it was very an intense moment because we were just waiting in the hospital room and we were like, okay, they're supposed to be here now, where are they at? And we were very nervous because they say like when you get the call, it's not 100% go. Sometimes the doctor might look at the organ and say it's not viable. So we were very scared, and when we did see them and they said it was a go, it was very emotional. Then I have a picture here with it's my brother telling my dad, oh, you got this, right after he was taken out of surgery. He was unconscious, but we were able to see him, and we were able to hear his new heartbeat. And that was very emotional, because again, I was thinking of the donor and the family. So he woke up, it was I think the next day, the 23rd, and usually people, like they're saying my dad would take like 3 or 4 days, but he woke up sooner than we thought. He was calling my mom, saying like, where are you guys at? And we're like, we were up there all night. Surgery was at, I want to say, it ended at like 4 or 6 a.m. So we were really tired, and my mom called me and she's like, can you call your dad? He's upset we're not here. And I said, Dad, we'll be there as soon as possible, just let us get some rest. So when we got up there, that was very emotional to see him, and he was very, very happy. And here's him celebrating his birthday with the shirt that says powered by a donated heart. And he loves that shirt. He wears it way too much. It drives my uncle crazy. But it's a great shirt. I also have some other pictures here. There's May 21st, which was the day he got the call, and that's with his surgeon. And then on the March 21st, which was pretty recent, not too long ago, 10 months post-transplant, he was at a Methodist heart patient party, and there he is with another shirt I got him. It says, heart transplant survivor, forever grateful to the organ donor who saved me. And now I love volunteering and being active in the community because I feel like I'm giving back. I realize if my dad's donor wasn't a registered donor, or if his family didn't decide to donate the organs, I realized my dad wouldn't be here. So I try to be very active to raise awareness. The photo with my family is at the Methodist heart patient party, and I also have some volunteer photos. And one of my favorite events, volunteering with Life Gift, and it was actually my first volunteer event, was the donor medal ceremony. And it's where we as volunteers were able to give a white rose and a medal to a donor family to recognize their loved one. So that was very emotional because they showed the picture of the donor, and we were able to give the rose and the medal to them. I think I gave it to, I want to say, 3 families, and just doing that, it felt really emotional to me because I realized that was a donor family, and my dad, like, we have a donor family out there that is a part of our story. And because I'm a millennial, I'm also very active on social media. So I made this post, and Donate Life America picked it up and put it on their Facebook and Instagram, and I'm going to read it to y'all. It says, this might sound a little cheesy since I basically whispered to a stained slide of liver today. In the pathology lab, whenever I see stained slides of tissue from a deceased donor for the process of matching the donor with the recipient, I can't help but to whisper out thank you as I say the person's name in my head while I think to myself, you're saving a life. As much as I love being behind the scenes in healthcare as a histotechnologist, it feels like I am missing a story about the patient since I have no interaction with them or their family like nurses do. I might not know nothing about the patient, but with donors, it's cathartic to know that they decided to give the gift of life. Just that alone tells a lot about a person. My father received a heart transplant in May 2018, and every day I thank the donor and everyone in the medical field that made it happen. I also think about everyone behind the scenes who works in a lab like I do that help with the matching process. Everyone in the organ donation and transplant process has a crucial role in saving lives. I will be forever thankful to the people who helped with my father's heart transplant and forever grateful for the role I have in helping others. And I put a picture of me doing yoga, which yoga was really great during this whole process because I remember when I was taking yoga classes, that's when my dad was in the hospital waiting. And at the end of a yoga, when we all lay down in the Shavasana pose, I would always put my hand on my heart and I would really kind of focus on my heartbeat. And I thought to myself, like, wow, there's a person out there whose heart is eventually going to be, donated to my dad, and that felt very emotional. And it also kind of inspired me to continue having a healthy lifestyle, as I realized it's a small percentage that I could become an organ donor, but I like to think, in case my dad might need a kidney eventually down the road, then I could do that. But right now his health is doing really great. He has no rejection, so it's been a really happy time. His 1 year is coming up next month, which will be really awesome. We're thinking about having a party, maybe having a cake. And I got him this keychain that the front says, the greatest hero I never knew was the organ donor that saved my life, with a date. And then on the back of it, I found this quote from UNOS, which is the United Network of Organ Sharing, and it says, without the organ donor, there is no story, no hope, no transplant. But when there is an organ donor, life springs from death, sorrow turns to hope, and a terrible loss becomes a gift. Love you, Dad. Thank you.